tray is very short. It's gonna need a lot of material. And ideally, when you apply the green stick, you should apply sufficient quantity for half the quadrant. Some people, some authorities advocate putting the green stick for the whole quadrant in one go. This is the application for half the quadrant. Okay, now I put it at the side of the flange. I'll wet it a little bit, and I will adjust the location of the material so that it is located on the edge of the flange. I'm raising the material to the edge of the flange. As I pointed, the tray is short, and we need sufficient material to compensate for that. I will flame it, temper it. Tempering water bath should be 55 degrees Celsius. Now the material is at the vicinity of the sulcus. على الأخير استرخي نهائي ما تشمر شفتك. I am aiming to introduce the material to the full depth of the sulcus. حرك حنكك يمين شمال شوي. Now the border tissue attachments, the freni, I'm pulling them downwards. The material should exhibit a matte surface, smooth, continuous surface without roughness, and all the material that went into the fitting surface of the tray of the flange should be removed. Of the tray, I am further reducing or relieving the inside of my border molding material so that no pressure areas will appear. As we said, some authorities advocate the application of the material to the whole arch in one go, but we've opted to the other opinion that advocates completing the work in quadrants. Now I am heating the material, sufficient material for the other quadrant. We should pay attention. This is deficient here. I think I will add a little bit more. If you take a look at this projection, it is evident that the material here is deficient. So I'll just add a little bit more. The addition is made at the side of the flange. At this side of the flange. Later, I will wet it with my hand. If the material is flowy, wait a little bit until it assumes a little bit of viscosity so that it will remain at the intended location. Now, the material has sufficient consistency to allow me to shape it onto the edge of the flange. Now I am placing the material onto the edge of the flange. I'm paying attention. No creases, no burns are present within the material. The material is at this stage is soft. I'll soften it a little bit more. I'll heat it. It's not hard. I'll temper it in the hot water bath. As I said, it is 55 degrees Celsius. As you can see, the material now is exactly on the edge of the flange. All the materials that goes to the fitting surface. ارخي شفتك حاج. ارخي على الأخير كأنك وضع النوم كأنك نايم. Now I am attempting to introduce the material into the sulcus. Again, border tissue attachments, the freni. I will pull down on them to allow them to incise the material at the respective locations. حرك يمين شمال والله حنك خلاص استرخي. The movement, right and left movement, mandibular movement, is to mold the green stick material within the ramus of the mandible, both on that side. We've started to have retention. This is now the material, the distribution of the material. It is smooth, continuous, no creases, no burns. Now we will cut back the material, we will relieve the material to eliminate any possibility of having pressure areas during the final impression. We'll make the final impression in zinc side Eugenol. Okay, any material that went into the fitting surface of the tray should be removed. The third application should be across the pallet, across the postgan. Again, enough material is heated and applied at the back of the tray. Okay, here I will not alter the location of the material or its placement. I'll keep it within the fitting surface. We want it to stay there at the fitting surface, but I don't want too much material. This is enough material. I'll flame it, quickly flame it, temper it before obtaining the corresponding impression here. تحت امك يا حاج. Simply, I'm pressing the material, the tray upwards against the tissues. Gently, without hurting the patient. As you can see now, we started having negative pressure due to the peripheral seal, due to the completed peripheral seal. I'll remove the material that flowed anteriorly to the hard pellets. I'll keep it to the junction between the soft and hard pellets. Always, when you use a blade, the scalpel or a cutter, don't put the other hand in front of the blade. As you can see, this is a completed border molding of the upper jaw. The lower tray, we should make sure that it is dry before applying the material. Again, I'll apply for a whole quadrant. The application should take place at the side of the tray. At the side of the tray. Now I'll wet it with my other hand and manipulate the material to the edge of the flange. As you can see, there isn't equal quantities of material around the border, the periphery. You should manipulate it with your wet hand so that equal quantity of material is placed onto the edge of the flange. Proper placement of the material means proper impression making, and vice versa. Properly loaded material will give you a correct impression. I've extended a little bit more than one quadrant across the midline, as you can see. Now I'll flame it from the inside and outside. Temper it again, and from the back of the patient I'll introduce the tray into the patient's mouth. ارخي شفتك على الأخير حج بدون ما تشد نهائي نهائي. Lower jaw. The residual ridge in the lower jaw is highly resolved. Highly resolved. As you can see, this is a completed border molding of the tray in that location. It's almost flat. The lower jaw is almost flat. There isn't a sulcus, a true sulcus there. That's why the cross section of the material is triangular here. Okay, it's not assuming a shape of a sulcus. Actually, it doesn't exist anymore. It is almost at right angles. The junction between the labial mucosa, the cheek mucosa, the cheek, the lips, and the residual ridge is almost 90 degrees. Okay, so the Eugenol just to cover the green stick on that jaw. The first application of zinc Eugenol is aimed to cover only the green stick, not the fitting, not the whole of the fitting surface, just to see if there were any pressure areas related to the tissues. Now we will start mixing the quantity of zinc Eugenol. Again, our aim is to mix it all, not to leave any streaks of unreacted material within the mix. The best thing to do is to mix it in one direction and to scrape well the surface of the mixing pad or glass slab. We will apply just a little bit of zinc Eugenol onto the green stick. I've dried it before the application. As you can see, this is you can also apply it by hand just to make sure there is a thin layer of zinc Eugenol on the green stick externally and internally. As you can see, all green stick is covered with the material. Now this is the first application that aims to eliminate the... As you can see, there are areas, the zinc side Eugenol illuminated areas of pressure. This is a pressure area here where the green stick is apparent through zinc side Eugenol, and perhaps these locations. So I will relieve them. I'll relieve them by cutting back the green stick where it appears. And also don't be afraid to remove the green stick at the pressure areas, because that will be compensated by the final mix, the final application of the zinc side Eugenol. Again here, we should remove the zinc side Eugenol at the posterior border to see if the tray was adequately placed or properly placed over the tissues or not. As you can see, zinc side Eugenol is exhibiting very thin section in here, indicating that the tray was properly seated. Very thin layer of zinc side Eugenol over the green stick. Is the final impression. No pressure areas whatsoever. Perhaps double impression there. Cases like this, and a little bit of a void or air bubble in there. Either you can either put some wax in there before pouring the impression, or make an addition of little bit of zinc side Eugenol in that location and on the double lip here. Okay, all around, but it's not important. This is the mix for the lower impression. As you can see, the impression all around is relieved from the inside only. We haven't attempted to relieve from outside to eliminate all possibilities for pressure areas. Again, as you can see, the mix, we are mixing and scraping the surface of the glass slab so that no unreacted material will remain. We've transferred the material into the tray. Again, we'll make sure that the material covers the inside of the tray and all the green stick from inside and outside. Also, okay, now for the impression making. اخفي بشفتك، ارخي خدك، حرك لسانك. border molding movements again as with the green stick to ensure that the material is adapted and molded onto the green stick material from outside. بكري and lingually. حرك لسانك يمين شمال، المس بس خدك من جوا والمس شفتك العليا. The patient is asked to move the tongue to the inside of the cheeks and the upper lip, and this is enough molding from the lingual aspect. خلص استرخي حج. حرك لبرا شفتك العليا، المس شفتك العليا بلسانك. I'm asking the patient to touch the upper finished impression. The finished impression, as you can see, no pressure area. It's light. Well, the material, the zinc Eugenol is covering this area. I wouldn't consider it a pressure area, really. Perhaps this one is a pressure area. However, it is uniform, homogeneous. Zinc Eugenol is covering all the green stick from outside and inside. We should be careful about areas like this. Perhaps the green stick is not well extended in this section here. So in cases like this, I would cut the green stick from here to here, expose the green stick again, add a little bit following the shape of the zinc Eugenol, and repeat for this section only. A green stick should be added where the flange was relieved, and zinc followed by zinc Eugenol. This is the finished lower and upper impressions in zinc Eugenol.